Hello fellow teachers! Today we again talk about adapting board games to the ESL classroom. Though some of the board games are just made to be used in the class. They are lexical games. There is a kind of lexical board games that are based on definition, giving definition of words and guessing the word, or word combination, phrase, person, etc. But my favorite one of them is activity. Well, it is my favorite because it combines actually 3 different games in one. Crocodile, which is given definition with your movements and mimes. Taboo, given definition by words. And Pictionary, given definition by drawing. At the typical activity card, it contains really many words and word combinations. So, why should we adapt it? Well, first of all, this is my Russian activity game. It's useless for the English class. If I ask the question why adapt, let's just try to see some cards from English language activity. This would be really challenging even for high levels. There can be people, situations or institutions in the cards that are just impossible for our students to know. The examples of the activity cards are taken from the open sources in the internet. So, the first possible adaptation is making new cards with the vocabulary of what you are learning. To my experience, I can tell you with one group, we took these methodics of making our own cards with paper and with scotch tape. After we finished unit, chapter, the page, we decided on what words would we put into our activity card. The students put on their cards the words that were new from this page and the words they considered the most difficult to remember. Placing such words to the cards meant that it is really possible for the student to pick the card with his private word difficult to remember. Also, instead of several words to each category of showing, explaining or drawing, we used one word for each category. So it meant 3 or 6 words in one card. But the rules according to which we played were made the same. So 2 teams and people tried to guess the words inside of one team. There is also a second possible option. You can change not just how the card looks like, but also the rules you're playing with. To hold one class or one group together playing this game, we cannot use 2 teams, but one person in front of the class or in front of the group. So, if the person made people guess his word, he takes a score. Some more personal experience. With the group that we first tried this activity experience, we used 4 words on one card. That meant one was for miming, another one for explaining, the third one was for depicting, and they could decide on the fourth, would they like to mime it, explain, or draw? Or maybe they could decide on both four, but they would need to use different methods of defining the word. To sum it up, activity is a combo of three different ways to define a word. So that is a Lexis game, and if you want to brush up Lexis or try to remember new items of Lexis, that's the perfect example. If we don't modify the rules, it takes something like 15 minutes for one round. And if you wish to modify it, it can take less time, for example 10 minutes on it. You can play either with teams of several people, and so there will be several separate games going on in the class. Or you can involve one class with it, and according to my experience with the groups I practiced doing activity throughout the year, so writing out more and more words they don't know or are difficult to remember, by the end of the year they could remember like 80% of all the lexis of our course. That was a great result. That's why I'm talking to you about this game. Good luck on the lessons.